Hello?
Oh, hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Okay. Okay. You guys ready? Should I, Dave, are you okay with me just, starting where I left off with, Killer Bee?
Yeah, I'm just in here just to see what's going
Okay, so this is probably gonna be super, super basic for you. But yeah, so last time I was going over, basic flow control and, variable instantiation and, setting, or what was it called? Assignment for variables. So that sound about where I left off, Killer?
Yeah,
Great. Okay, so
I downloaded the thing you're using. Should I open it up?
oh yeah, here, let me go ahead and guide you through creating a new program again, okay?
Okay.
Just open it up. I'll close this version, and I'll open up a new version too.
on.
Tell me
It's
when
only
it
running 2017. Huh.
Eh, doesn't really matter. As long as you can get .NET Framework 4.7.2, you should be fine. I had an issue where I was trying to get things to work, but I was using .NET 3.0.2, and it was just completely not working for anything. It didn't want to run. It wouldn't let me do string concatenation. It was so bad. Then I
Where
switched
would
to
I see what .NET version I'm on?
here. If you go to your project, you right click on your project name, hit properties, and then it should say the target framework right here. So I've got .NET Framework 4.7.2, and that's just what it recommends for Torch plugins. So that's what I'm using.
Oh, okay. I need to get a new version installed.
Yeah. If you go into your Visual Studio installer, it should give you an option to modify the installation. Or maybe that's just 2019. I don't know, but 2017. So, Killer Bee, you ready? You got your thing open?
I click sign in, and it says we're getting things ready. Thank you for your patience. So I'm just waiting.
All right. Let's wait then. Do you know if you have 2017 or 2019, Killer Bee?
2019.
Wonderful.
So it says get started, and there's like different things I can open. Yeah, I see it on your thing.
Or does it look like this here?
Yeah, the get started stuff. Your mouse is near. The
Oh,
create a new project, open folder, that stuff.
yeah. Let's just click on create a new project then. And then once you're here, you should see a console app.NET Core like this. If you want, you can just search for it up here. Console.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
I think.
So let's just click on it, double click on it, and then it'll let us configure a new project.
Okay.
So just name your project something, pick a location to slap it into, and then hit create.
You're on 4.7.2, correct?
4.7.2 is the recommended framework version.
Okay, there we go. I'm installing.
Wonderful.
Killer Bee, is your first time learning all of this?
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's fun once you get it figured out.
Yeah, I still got a headache from the last chat session.
Sorry.
You're good. Alright, I'm at where you're at.
Wonderful. So let's just so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna build and run it. So all we have to do that is just hit the little button with the triangle on it.
Okay.
You hit that, it should give you a window that'll pop up and it'll say hello world on it. Probably.
Yeah, I got it.
Window path. Okay, so let's close that. And let's go ahead and go back to what we learned last time. So how do let's say I want to declare an integer variable with a value of 4. How would I do that?
That's a good question.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. It starts with int. Then
Yeah, and then the other thing.
okay, so it's going to be
Equal.
we're going to call it. We'll just do int I
Is
equals
it just
4.
n equal? Oh, okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought there was another thing. So how do you know where to click when you're putting this stuff?
What do you mean?
Like, if I was gonna,
How do I know where to put this line?
yeah, like you're on 8. Why didn't you just do it on 12? You gotta put it under like a certain amount. Is it the brackets that you gotta put it in?
Yeah. So remember how we discussed last time that this function is the first thing that is executed whenever you run this program? So you have to
Yeah.
put it inside this function for it to run. If I put this outside of here, the program would be like, oh, okay, that's right there. Well, actually, I'll give you an error because it can't be there. Actually,
Yeah.
that'll throw an error. But I could like put it maybe like right down here, probably, maybe, hopefully. And no, you can't put it there either. Okay, where else can I put it? So I could put it right here.
You just click under the console and then press enter. Like push it down.
Yeah, you can just, yeah, that's what I did. Essentially, you have to put your code right now, as far as we're concerned, inside these curly braces, because that's what the function main contains. You have to put it inside this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking at the bracket to see if we get the same one, and I have a bracket under static, and yours is at the end of that line.
Oh, does it look like this? Does it look like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's just the same thing. I just like to have it this way. It really doesn't matter where the bracket is, as long as you don't have anything between this bracket and where the end of this happens.
And then you just want to keep whatever you're doing for that thing within those two brackets, that line it draws.
Yes, so whatever is between these two brackets is what is inside the main function.
Okay.
So if I put anything outside of here, it won't be inside it.
Yeah. Alright. And then you said, so INT.
And then we can call it anything.
Like or anything. And then equal. And then 4 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. That thing.
You can name it. You can name the variable anything you want to, except for a couple weird things. But yeah, so we create a variable called anything with the data type of integer. So data stored inside the variable anything must be an integer data type, and the value that we're putting in there is 4. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's go ahead and say if I have an int j equals 2, how can I set the value of anything to the value of j?
You do the int.
int.
And then, wait, what the value thing are you doing? Say that again.
I want to put the value of j into anything.
So you do j equals I?
Well, I doesn't exist in this case, but
Or anything?
yeah, that's exactly what you do.
Okay.
And then let's say I want to write the value of j to our console. How would I do that?
J to console?
Yeah.
Would it be type console?
Yeah. So just like the same place where
Console.
hello world comes from.
Would it be console equals J?
No, not exactly. That'll throw an error because we can't set anything to the value of console right now. We can't change the value of console. It's not a variable that we can modify. But why don't we do the same thing as we did up here with the hello world? Why don't we say console dot? Can you guess what I'm gonna write next?
Right.
Yeah. And then what am I gonna put in here?
Hello world, or should we put something else?
Well, we wanted to output the value of j, so we need to figure out how to output the value of j. So what do I need to put in here in order to output the value of j? I need to put j here, right?
I don't know if you put like intj or equals j.
Oh. So we only used the int before j in order to declare a new variable.
Okay.
So in this case, this is the same thing as saying intj. This is the same thing as saying intj and then j equals 2. It's just a shorthand version of saying it.
Okay.
In this case, it's going to throw an error because I already declared j. But yeah. So if you want to set the value of j to anything, you just put on the left of an equal sign. If you want to get the value of j and use it for something, you just put it there by itself.
Okay. All right.
So in this case, we say console.writeLine j, and it's going to write the value of console out. Write the value of j out into console, which is 4. Why is it 4? Well,
So there were build errors. Oh, man. I've already messed up somewhere.
Oh. Okay. Bye, Dave.
Oh, I think I got an already defined thing, like you just said.
Oh.
Yeah. Wait.
If you want to share your screen.
Wait, well, what I did is I have int I equals 4, and then I have int j equals 2, and then I have int j equals I.
Oh, that's a problem.
Wasn't your I anything?
Well, you tried to declare the integer I twice, right?
I think it's j I did. See, I had the... Oh, that's what I did. I put another int there instead of just j equals I.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now let me try running it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hello world 4.
Whoa, congratulations.
Yeah, big brain.
Okay, you ready to go back over conditional statements?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's go ahead and make a simple if statement. So I want to make an if statement that is true when, let's say, j equals, or let's say j is less than 10. So how would I do that?
Using an if statement.
Yes.
If
It's okay.
J or equal the bracket. J. Oh no, that's 9 and a 0. No, nope, doesn't work. I'm ordering a new keyboard. So would you just do if J? Did you say less than 10?
Yeah.
What was it? So would you just put less than 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you just slap a pair of curly braces after that and you're golden. I can put the curly brace down here if it makes you feel better. I know some people like it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make something execute inside of there. So what should we say? What's one good thing to say here? Let's just say console dot write line. Okay, and then say J is less than 10, not 19, 10. And put a semicolon after it. Notice how I put semicolons after every single line except things that end with curly braces. Just FYI, good thing to know.
So every time you wanted to say something, you have to put the quotations around it, correct?
Yes. So if I want to make some text, I need to put I need to make quotations around it. We'll talk about different data types in just a second. Okay.
All right.
So do you kind of get what happens here? This is pretty...
Yeah. And so we played it. It would say "Hello World," less than, or if it's less than 10, it'll say J.
Yeah. And is J less than 10?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Where are you? And where?
Because it's less than 10, it'll go on to the next thing and then put J equals 2. Oh, okay, never mind. I was on another thing. Yeah, I was either thinking it was gonna do that, or because I didn't know if like the console write line was more of a command, where if 4 was less than 10, it wouldn't. Never mind. I'm just being stupid.
It's okay.
Okay.
And also, just an important thing to note: if it after this is done, it'll just keep on going to the next thing after it.
Yeah, I didn't know if the less than 10 thing was like some kind of requirement you put there. And so if it didn't meet the requirement, it wouldn't go on to the next write line.
Oh, yeah. It's not a requirement, it's just a question.
Okay.
So,
But
yeah.
But it only did that question because it was less than 10.
Yeah.
Like if I made J 12, it would look different, correct? When you ran it?
Yeah. Let me just make J equals 12 and then do that. And yeah, it'll just not run it.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was. Okay.
Let's go ahead and use an else statement now. So else is another way, is just extending the if statement. So if we put an else here, this will the code inside of here will execute if this code does not execute. So if J is not less than 10, then it'll execute this code. So in this case, I can say J is not less than 10. Does that make sense?
I know you lost me on where you put the next line of else at.
Oh, so what the else is it looks at the previous if statement and it executes if this statement.
Hang on, one second. Huh? Is it? No, it's in the bin.
I'm so glad I learned Python first.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I learned on C. Still regret it to this day.
I'm back. I think I stole a mouse that wasn't mine, but I lied through it, so I still have it.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, we're good now.
Right. Okay, so where were we? So this else statement.
Trying to figure out where I put else at. So it's its own bracket thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so here we do this.
So you always put your else after your if. So you have your, I shouldn't do that. Yeah, so you have your if and then you have your else. So if this, otherwise, or if this, else this.
Else. Oh boy. Console.
So what are you having trouble with right now?
Trying to copy what you did with the else thing.
So
But
you're right
kinda,
here.
I'm on like a wrong footing. I don't know where I'm at anymore.
So you're,
Let me.
so you
let me get
have
it on.
code that has an if statement, right? You have a code that has an if statement, right?
Yeah.
So you want to go one line after the if statement and then just type else and then curly brace. And that's it. So it's just a line after, or maybe 2 lines after. It could be a couple lines afterwards.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. And then you did else, console, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to type it all out. Just need to put something there so you know it ran that line. But yeah, J is not less than 10.
okay, and let me try doing it. Oh, I got an error.
What did it say?
Says description expected I don't know what that means. It says line 23. That's. Oh, I forgot the semicolon thing.
Classic.
Okay, yeah. So, can you run yours again? Or it looks the same as yours?
Sure.
Yeah, wait. Yours is 12 and mine is still. Oh, you know, you changed yours. Yay, that's one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Cool. So let's go ahead and do another step for our if-else statement. Now, let's go ahead and say else if j equals 5. Now, do you have any idea what this is doing?
So behind.
So,
Else, okay. Nope, I don't. No clue.
So what this is going to do is going to say, okay, so if j is less than 10, okay, let's say j is not less than 10. It's going to go to the else statement of this if statement. And it's going to say, okay, else, and then it's going to say if, then it checks to see if j is equivalent to 5. And if j is equivalent to 5, it does whatever it is doing here, so whatever this is. And then if j is not equal to 5, then it moves on to the next else statement and says, oh, okay, let's execute this then. Because there's no if statement here. So it's gonna do this if statement first and check this. If this is not true, it's gonna move on to this one. If this is not true, it's gonna move on to this one. And you can add as many else ifs as you want. So I could say else if j equals 4, for example. And then this would look at this, then look at this, then look at this, then look at this. And if any of these are true, for example, if j is actually equal to 5, it'll do this, and then it just won't do anything else after it in the if else chain.
Alrighty. And I'm gonna like reconnect and disconnect my Bluetooth things because every time you talk, it makes a farting noise.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. I'll just clean this up really quick.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
That's better. I'm in like a weird spot in the house where I'm like in a semi-dead zone, so things start to like act weird sometimes.
It's fine. I can't even tell, honestly.
Yeah, I ordered like a new keyboard and mouse and like one of those Wi-Fi extender thingies. But anyways, yes, the if stuff, else stuff. I'm not gonna try and put it in, but I know what you're saying.
Cool. So, can you guess what'll happen if I do j equals 4? What will this do?
It'll check to see if it's less than 10, and if it is, it'll just do the j is less than 10.
Yeah, and then I'll exit. Because I'm an idiot, and what happens if I change this to this? Now what'll happen?
Oh, so if it's greater than it, wait. My being 4 is not greater than 10, so does it just move on to the next one?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't equal 5, so it'll move on. And it does equal 4, so it'll say j is 4.
Cool. Let's see what
I
happens.
don't know why I had a brain fart on that one, but
Oh, it's fine. So, hello world, j is 4 and 4. Looks good. Let's do one
and
more.
why do you have to do the double like equal sign instead of just one?
So it means a different thing than this. So this is an assignment operator. It's called an assignment operator. Essentially, all this does is it takes the value in here and it slaps into here. The double
Okay.
equal sign is a an equivalence conditional operator. It checks if these two values are the same, and then returns true if they are the same. So in this case, if j is equivalent to 5, this will be true. So it says, oh, if, and then, okay, this is true, so let's do it. But if it's not true, then it
Okay.
won't.
That helped me a lot because I've never gotten an explanation on that.
Oh.
I made
I've
a
always just been told to do it.
If you guys want to know, it's important to note that the conditional statements are really just they're just expressions that return a Boolean value. In fact, this really gets us on to the next thing, which is different types of data. So let's talk about Boolean values. So Boolean value. So you know how we declare a integer with like this. So int p equals 4, right? So we can create an integer called p and set equal to 4. Now, there's other different types of things we can do instead of just integers. We can make a Boolean type, and we can say bool. I was going to call it my bool. And now a Boolean type, it's usually either true or it's false. So we could say my bool equals true, or my bool equals false. Like that. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
So it's just a different type of data. So a Boolean value can be either true or it can be false. And you use the this is just like saying 1, and it's just like saying 0 in this case. So instead of numbers, we use the keyword true to represent if it's true or not, and we use false to represent if it's false or not. So in this case, true is actually just a Boolean value that we can set into the variable myBool. And since it's a Boolean value, we can put it into a Boolean variable because a Boolean variable only stores Boolean data. Any questions?
Right. What? So a bool is just a true or false thing,
Yep.
and then my bool, is that just the name of what you're naming it?
Yeah. It's just the same thing as the integer. You can create an integer called whatever you want to call it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Alright, you can continue.
Okay, so in this case, with conditional statements like this, we can assign the value of my bool to, say, j equals, or my bool equals j equals 4. This is kind of confusing, so usually I put this inside of parentheses just to make it a little bit more explicit, just so we know this is separate from it. So my bool will be equivalent to the Boolean value of this conditional expression. So in this case, let me just go ahead and write the line of my bool out really quick, and let me set j equals 4. So my bool should be true, right? Because j equals 4. Okay, let's see. So yeah, it's true. J is 4. It's true.
Kind of lost me a little bit. You just
So what are you having trouble with?
I'm just kind of like trying to wrap my head around the whole thing and have it all make sense. Hang on.
Let me try explaining it in a different way, Dan.
Well, so the my bool thing was a true and false. How exactly is it like knowing that it's true?
How does it know?
There's nothing. Yeah, because I would think like my bool equals true, and then I feel like there would be like if it equals this.
So
I'm not like seeing where it's getting the logic of how it knows. Wait, I don't know. I don't think I know what I know.
It's okay. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to think about how to explain it to you right now. I could explain it to you like so in C-type languages, specifically C#, there's a thing called an expression. So an expression, like for example, what happens if I say 1 plus 2 in this language? What will that do? That'll
3.
Yeah, so it'll have the value of 3. So it'll have the value of 3. So in this case, this is doing the same thing where it's saying j is this equivalent to 4, and if that is true, it'll take that true value and put it into my bool.
Oh, okay.
Does that make a little bit more sense?
I guess my thing is that I was looking for almost like a question in 4 when it wasn't necessarily like a question. I don't know. Okay, I got it. I'll move on before I sound more stupid.
If you want to, you could think of this as the question. So this is the question of, is this equivalent to this? And we're going to take the answer to that question and slap it into my bool.
So then it kind of goes up, checks to see that j does equal 4, and then it's true.
Yeah. And the same thing happens over here. It asks this question, and then if takes the answer, and then only executes what the stuff inside of it if the answer is true.
Okay.
Okay. Sound good? So one more thing we could do Boolean values is we can, let's say I want to do bool j equals 3, or my bad, let's do j equals 5. Or let's say my conditional equals j equivalents to 5. And let me put this back in parentheses so it's easier to read. So we can take this and just slap it into here instead of that. And you probably understand why that works, right?
I think I'm messing up by trying to copy what you're doing while also listening.
Oh, sorry. Here, let me zoom out one.
Well, I try and write it down, but then I have to look away, and it's kind of like, I should probably just not type and listen.
Yeah.
Just kind of redo that, I guess.
All right. So I'm going to delete. I deleted all the stuff down here, and I went back up here, and I created a new Boolean variable called myConditional. And then I set the value of myConditional equivalent to the value of the question is j equivalent to 5? And then took the value of my conditional and then just put it in here. This if statement. So notice that the if statement is taking the value of this Boolean value instead of me putting j equals 5 here. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just
Same
moving it
thing.
up.
Just, yeah.
So it'll work the exact same way.
Yeah, I got you.
So just a nice thing to know. Let's go on to another type of data. This is probably the most commonly used type of data. Let me just, goodness, how should I just, Control X, let me just slap this somewhere else so this moves somewhere else and we can use it later. So strings. Now a string is another type of data that's just it's just a bunch of characters. So if I want to say string, my string equals hello world, and you just so instead of taking a number like an integer, like for example int I equals 4 or bool b equals true, strings can be denoted by some text inside quotation marks. Questions?
What's the string thing again?
It's just text.
So basically like the same thing as writing console.writeLine and then this.
No. String is a data type of a variable. So my string is a variable with data type string. So all a string means it's going to store some text in it. And then we're going to set it to the value of hello world, as in this, the text of hello world. And if we want to, we could say console.writeLine my string, and it will output, guess what?
Yeah, okay.
Hello world. Good.
So it just contains some type of text, and then when you put it like you did right there, it just kind of unfolds whatever in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to show you. Let's go ahead and show you string concatenation. So string, and let's say string b. Let me just delete these two because we don't need them. Equals. What's another good word? Again, is a good word. So if I wanted to, I could say my string plus b here. And what will this do? What do you think this will print out?
Hello world again.
Exactly. So in programming, one thing you come into a lot is like we might want to say my string contains, and then plus my string plus, and b contains plus b. And then this will print out a nicely formatted string that says my string contains hello world and b contains again. Now, of course, this is really difficult to type out a ton of times, right? Don't you agree?
Yeah.
And you understand how this works, right? I'm just taking the string
Yeah.
plus this string plus this string plus this string. So one way I could simplify this is by saying console.writeLine. Now this is very specific to C#, but you can do $sign before your quotes and then say my string contains, and then inside curly brackets in here say my string and b contains b. And that's a little bit easier to write, don't you think? Semicolon.
Yes.
And I'll just print out the exact same thing, hopefully. Put an extra space here. Don't need that space. But yeah, it works. So this is just a nice little shortcut if you ever end up wanting to do it. It's really nice. If you look at my Echo code, that's just how I do it. That's why it looks like that.
Yeah. And what's the $sign for again?
that just tells the program that you want this to have these little curly braces. If I took out the $sign,
Oh,
it wouldn't know
okay.
what to do in here. It would just think this is all text.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's see, what's a good thing we can do really quick? Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at, let's just go ahead and do a quick little bit of internet searching. So let's take a look at C# strings. So in C#, there's a string here, and let's just take a look at what the string class can do, or the string data type can do. So I'm going to go take a look at methods, and let's go pick a nice method. And I'll just find 2 lower somewhere in here. 2 upper is better. Okay, so let's just take a look at some documentation. So what is this doing here? What does it look like this is doing? This is actually really confusing.
It's
yeah.
also kind of blurry on my screen.
Sorry.
There we go.
So essentially, this is 2 upper right here. So if we look at this code, we see that they declared a variable called string1 with the value indigo. They declared 2 more variables, string2 and string3, and they didn't give them any values. This is just the same thing as typing string2, then in the next line string3. Does that kind of make sense how this looks?
Yeah.
Cool. So what this is going to do is going to set the value of string2 to string1 dot 2 upper. Now I don't know why they made it look like this. I think that's just some random thing you can do with 2 upper, but let's just go ahead and try running 2 upper just like that, without the stuff inside of it, to make it easier to understand. Let's say string b upper equals my string, or I said b dot 2 upper, and just like that. So all this is going to do is I'm using this this method here, and I'm just making b upper. I'm just gonna slap it in here. All uppercase. Yeah. So one of the important things is just kind of knowing how to look online and finds the definitions on the
Bluetooth stuff disconnected.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So you might have to go back a little bit. I didn't hear it.
Oh, so do you get how this code works?
I think you just played it or something when it cut out, maybe.
Oh. Okay.
You.
Well, all this code does is it's going to take the value of b, it's going to convert all the characters in b to uppercase, and then it's going to put that into the new string b upper, and then write it out to console. So this will just print out.
So it'll just say again in caps?
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I was just trying to emphasize how being able to go online into the C# references and just be able to look at what functions you can use and just be able to implement these things. So let's just go ahead and take a look at another simple one of these. Ooh, cool. Here's the equals one. Let's take a look at this one. So what is this doing? So this will... Okay, I don't understand what this does. Let's take a look at this one here. This says equals string string. Let's click on this, see what happens. That's way too complicated. Let's look at this one. Okay, so what is this doing? Why am I even... Actually, my bad, I'm really sorry. I really should be going over functions with you first before I do that. That's just completely unfair of me. I'm really sorry.
You're good.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about classes. So this is a class. It's called a program. And do you remember what I said about classes last time? Do you remember what classes can have? They have properties and...
you said... Did you say classes are like a more specific like folder of something else? I don't know. I think I may have missed this part when I came in late.
Yeah, I mean, but you're not wrong. Yeah, so a class is just it's like a folder. Now it's important to note the class can have functions. In this case, main is a function of program, and it can have properties. So if I put, for example, string, my string is a property of program. So the thing about classes is that, so technically they're called object. They're a type of object, and a class is like, it's like, so we would say like, so chair, for example, would be a class. We can create different chairs based off of the class template. So in that case, chair would be the template, and we would say, okay, so we have a chair template, and then we would modify each individual instance of the chair template to make it into a specific chair. Does that kind of make sense? No, probably not.
Not really.
Here, you know what? I'll just show you it in code really quick. So we can use program kind of like a data type. So I just can say program, just say lowercase program. And then, so I create a new program variable of the program data type. So kind of like string, just kind of like strings and ints and bools, I can also use these as a different type of data type. And the special thing about classes is you have to say equals new program. So you use the actual data type here or the class name as just use it like this. We'll go over exactly what this does in a moment. But essentially this is going to create a new program data type and set it into our variable program. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. So now once we have our variable called program, we can access properties of this particular instance of the class program. Gosh, I would be so confused right now. I'm just gonna keep on going and backtrack over and over again until it makes some more sense.
Okay.
So I can get the property of this particular instance of program as just saying dot just gets a property of this variable and my string. So my string is just a variable of this. This is going to say you have to assign something to it. So I may as well just say equals hi, and that'll be okay. So we create a new variable called program of the type program class, and then we create a new program. And we took the property of program and call the property myString of program and set it to the text hi. Okay. Any questions?
So why do you have two programs? Program equals new program.
This is kind of confusing. How about this? I'll just call this P.
Okay, so that was, you just named the same thing as like doing the int equals this, or int naming it. You kind of did the same thing, except you named it. It's like naming int and then equals new program.
Yeah.
Kind of what you did there. Okay.
But also keep in mind,
that was confusing so hard.
Also keep in mind though, you can't say int equals 4. Because it's going to say, oh, I was trying to get that. You have to say, I could do like ints like that because it's case sensitive. Notice how this is uppercase. Yeah. So same way I did this over here, I just called it lowercase program. Let's just go ahead and I'm going to create a new class really quick. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. Can you still see this?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to call class my class. So I create a new class. It's called my class. And let's give it a property, shall we? What's a good property? Let's say int I. Boom. Okay. Now, in classes, there's another thing we can do before the data type. It's called the level of protection. So we can make this public, for example. Let's just make everything public for now. That just means int can be accessed anywhere. I can be accessed anywhere. Does that kind of make sense? So it's public, it's for public use. If I set the private, it's only, we'll talk about later. But anyway, so as I create a new program here, I can create a new my class, and then my class equals new my class, and boom, we've got a new my class. And we can do the same thing with I. So how would we, let's say we want to set the property I of my class to 0. How would I do that?
Say that again.
So I want to set the property I of this this variable to 0. How would I do that? So remember how we set the value of property myString of p to high? We can do the same type of thing with my class, except we have to do it with the property I instead, and we have to set it to 0. So I'll start it then. So I can say my class dot I. So I got this variable. It has a property I, so I took that, and so I specified that we're going to be assigning to this variable using the dot, using this period, and I'm going to say equals 0. So this will take the value of 0 and slap it into the variable I. Does that make a little bit of sense?
My confusion levels are at least 80%.
Okay.
So the whole class thing is just turned my brain upside down.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I would normally be doing this with I would normally be starting this with functions, but honestly, I don't know how to explain this using functions because C# is weird.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of need classes to understand functions in the first place. How about let's try this again then. How about let's create another property of my class. Let's call this public int j, or j. So how would I do this in this case? I could say, how would I assign the value of 16 to my class property j? I would say my bad, dot j equals 16, right? And so on and so forth. So let's say, I'm sorry. So let's say,
I like everything to me at this point is kind of just like coming together into this one big confusion ball. I think it's just because I've not really understood like the core beginner stuff of the class, and so when stuff is added on top of that, it just kind of forms this confusion ball. So I'm not really following like at all what any of this means for the most part.
Okay. Do you understand what this means, sort of?
Is my class like if you did int and then you name something, is that just the name of your class? Is my class?
Yeah.
And then it's just I equals that. It's the same thing as int, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Except
okay, so I got.
It's part of my class, so we have to say this, then dot I first.
So the class is like your folder, and then the my class is the name of said folder.
Yes.
And then okay, so my class.I and my class.j is two different like
sheets in the folder, documents in the folder.
Okay. Yeah,
so
now I'm following a little bit more here.
So in this case, my class is more like the type of the folder. So if I want to, I could create a new folder with the same type. So I create a new folder of the same my class type, but I called it my class 2. So I have another folder called my class 2. So in this case, I could say, let's say I want to set the value, sorry, the property I of my class 2 to 6. How would I do that?
You lost me again. Okay, so above the myClass.I thing, so with the myClass that's in green, that's kind of you calling upon your folder, correct? And then after that are those also kind of like a different sheet in a folder, the myClass and the myClass2?
Think about them like different folders. So these are entirely different folders altogether. My class is just the type of folder. Like for example, my class would be a invoice folder, for example. While program would be like a project folder. So obviously, a project folder is going to have different things inside of it than a invoice folder, for example. In this case, you'd have an invoice folder with type of sheet I and a type of sheet J. So think about that, like the name of the client who needs to give you money and the amount of money the client owes you in this case. So we would have client 1 and client 2. You know, why don't we just call this invoice like that, and we could say and why don't we just do this? And where are some things you put in here? Let's put public string name and public int amount, right? And we could say, let's say I want to set the name of my invoice 1 on there. So to say rain. So my invoice 1 dot name equals rain 42. Questions?
Yeah, that did help renaming it. I think all the things that involve the word class started just kind of mixing together. So class invoice. So how come like above when you did my invoice 1 equals
so I'm creating a new invoice and I'm calling it my invoice 1.
And then is what you're putting there like the data that you're putting in my invoice 1?
Yeah, so this is setting some data inside of it, or it's setting a property of my invoice.
Okay.
So I could also do that.
Now.
So now let's say I want to write out who so invoice 1 is 2, and then let's say how do I get the name, the value of name from invoice 1, so I can put it here. I can just put right. So I'm using it just like a variable. Because it is a variable.
I kind of get like the bracket thing, but why did you put the invoice 1 is 2?
Or maybe I should say the name on invoice 1 is.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes it a bit more simple to understand.
And then let me just run this really quick. Let's see if this runs. And look, looks like that works well.
Okay. Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and try, goodness, what else could we do? Let's go ahead and give invoice 2 a name and amount. So how do we do that?
You would do.
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, it cut out as soon as you asked that. So would you do my invoice 2 equals like killer bee?
Okay. So it's gonna have an error here because we're just trying to set the value. So we're trying to make the name Killer Bee go into my invoice 2. We did not specify where in the invoice to put it into. So we need to specify that this is the name of my invoice 2. So how do we do that?
My invoice 2 dot name.
Yeah. And let's do that for the amount. How do we do the amount?
That amount? Is that just the console thing you did?
Now remember, there's never
Oh.
anything that goes into my invoice.
The amount. Kinda. Did you do that on the other one?
I did not do that on the other one. But
that's why I'm lost.
but it is the same thing as using the name. Now notice here, we're putting this this text into this property of my invoice 2. Now we just need to take the value of say 100 and put it into the amount of my invoice 2. So it's the same format, just different values. Do you want me to do it really quick?
Yeah.
So in this case, you do it for my invoice 2 dot amount equals 100. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I was about to say, like, Joe should do, like, my invoice 2 for the name, change the name to amount, and then just do, like, equal bees. And then you specify how many of those bees you will have.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Now let's say I have another property of invoice, which is like public string date. How would I set that on here?
My invoice 2 dot date, then the date equals the date.
And how would I type that out? Would I use quotation marks? Would I do something like 10/20, like that?
Quotation marks?
Like this. What type of data is date supposed to be? Is it text?
String? Or, I don't know.
Is date?
Well, it's text.
Yeah, it's text because it's a string, right? So it has to be text. So we have to put whatever's in here in quotation marks. Let's just say 10/57/ I don't care. Change the calendar. Cool. So yeah, was that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
So, and then if I wanted to do this would the date on invoice 2 is, and can you guess how to get to the date here?
My invoice 2 dot date.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother typing it out. We know it's gonna work. But yeah, that's good. So now obviously we can change these different variables on here whenever we want to. But of course, there's a more elegant way to do that. So encoding, there's this thing called a constructor. Goodness, this is going to be really confusing, but essentially all you do is it needs to be public because everyone should be able to use it, and we're going to call it invoice, or whatever the folder's name is, and let's give it some variables. Let's call it string name, int amount, and string. Actually, let's not set that for now. I'll just only set those two. So this is a special kind of function. What this is going to do is that what this will allow us to do is this will allow us to, instead of doing this, we can put in myinvoice2, and then rain42, comma 100, and killerv, comma 150. And then, so instead of having to go ahead and do this, this will automatically put the name and the amount in there for us. So, oh goodness. So, no, we're not going to do this right now. No, we're going to go over functions first. I am such an idiot. Let's go over functions first, because this is going to get ugly.
Error, killer B, stop working.
Okay, so back to what we know, land. So we're going to create a function. Let's call this void add, or let's call this int get amount. So what we want this to do is we want to be able to essentially all we want to do is be able also terrible example, void add. I'm trying to figure, oh my gosh, this is so bad. How do I explain this, and why is my throat so raw?
You're good. So, I guess I'll say, what are you trying to do? But I guess that's the problem. We're trying to explain it to me what you're doing.
Okay, so let's create a new function called add to amount. And then int, let's just say int I. So what I want to do with this is whenever we call this function, think about this as something that invoice can do. We want to add whatever this value I is to amount. So all you have to do in that case is just say amount equals amount plus I. So what this will do is this will take the value of amount, add I to it, and then take that value and put it into amount again. So it's just going to add whatever I is to amount, and then amount will be that new value. Does this?
I think I'm following.
All right.
What does void mean?
Let's ignore that for now. Let's just look at this and this right now. So how do we use this function? How do we actually use this? How do we call this code? How do we execute this code? Well, let's say we want to execute from here. We can say, and why are you being so ugly? We can call it by saying my invoice to dot add to amount 10. Please work, please work, please work, please work. Oh, I have to be public.
If you're talking to me or the program.
I'm talking to I'm talking to the program. Okay, it has to be public. So the reason why it has to be public is because the it couldn't find it in here, because otherwise it would only be, you could only use it inside of here. But anyways, so this is what we're doing. So we're going to call this function, and what it's going to do is it's going to call this function, and when we write this code, it's going to do this. All right. Yeah, might as well just that right line amount and might as well put that in there just for completeness' sake. And what should the amount be after this? This should be 110, right? Let's make sure this actually works in the first place. Cool. Okay. So, which part do you not understand right now? Where do you stand?
I took my glasses out to rub my face.
Okay, let's go back to the folder analogy then.
Let me take a look at this.
Let's see. So, if we look at this like folder, how can we represent add to amount? Well, let's say the folder is a special electronic folder, and whenever we press a button and enter a value on the keypad, it'll take whatever values on that keypad and then add it to the amount in that invoice. So that's what this is doing. It's taking the value from here, it's putting it here, and then it's doing this with that value. So this is like a button on it. If we write this line of code and this line of code gets executed, it's gonna do this thing over here. If we
okay, so did I cut out? Can you still
use
hear
it
me?
not. I can still hear you.
Oh, okay. All right, let's start at the bottom of the pyramid, I guess. Cause in my thinking, if you don't have the bottom of the pyramid, you can't do anything with the top. It's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Like if you don't understand the bottom, you're not going to understand anything you put on top of this pyramid, kind of thing. So the add to amount is the first thing you did, right? The public void add to amount.
Yeah, maybe add to amounts not very intuitive. How about I just go ahead and say create a new function called public void say hello, and then just make it do console dot write line dot sorry, and then if we call this function, I'll say hello. So in this case, I could just write my invoice 2 dot say hello like that, and I'll say hello, right? Should say hello. Oh, it said hello. Cool. So what we did here is we got the function from my invoice 2, and then we called say hello. And all this means is that so whenever you call a function, you always have to have an open set of parentheses after the function name. And if there's nothing inside this over here, you don't need to have anything inside this over here. But because I had something inside this over here, I needed to have this inside this over here. So essentially what it did is it, let me just delete this line real quick because it's confusing, is it went down here, is it all this? It went over here, it said, okay, so we're going to look at the folder, my invoice 2, and then we're going to look at the function of that folder called say hello, and we're going to do what this function wants us to do. So it goes over here and does whatever's inside this function, and it goes back and it continues working. Any progress or still confused?
Like you took one part of my brain and then took another part of it and then you kind of just slammed it together.
Is that good or is that bad? I can't even tell.
Definitely bad. I can feel the headache just getting worse. Add more stuff to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know where I'm at, like, in my understanding of this whole thing anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, you kind of, I don't know. It's like what you say is flowing into my head, and then it's kind of just coming out the other end.
Okay. I feel like I need another analogy. I'm trying to think of a good analogy here.
See, I'm a very like hands-on person, and that's why I'm a welder. So like doing it like this is just kind of like
Yeah.
a bit more for me to understand it good.
Yeah. Yeah. That. Oh, you know what? Good analogy. How about no. Well, okay, so let's go ahead and say let's just say we have a machine. It's just like, it's a mystery machine, we don't know what it does. So, let's say that instead of calling this an invoice, I'm just going to call this let me create a new class called, and we don't, I'll just call it basic machine. Don't need to give it a mystery in there. So let's give it a couple properties. Let's give it a name. And let's give it a, what's one more good property for a machine?
Amperage.
Okay. Cool. So now let's go ahead and give it a function, shall we? So say we want let's say we want to create a function in which the machine hits the wall. So we want to say hit the wall. I don't know what this machine's supposed to do, but it's apparently doing something. But I'm just gonna hit the wall. It should probably tell us that it hit the wall. So right line.
So I know you said not to get into void, but I feel like I kind of need to for my bottom pyramid to work, if you know what I'm saying.
All right. So in functions, functions have a return value. So say we have a public int give us your age. So if I wanted to ask the machine to give us your age, it would need to return its age back to us. In this case, it would need to return age, like that. So in this case, because age is an integer, we need to specify that it's going to return an integer somewhere. And just because the way C# is written, it makes us put whatever value it's going to give us back right here. So in this case, it's returning an integer. If I want it to give us your name here, and I want to return our name, I would need to make this a string, because name is not an integer, it's a string. So it would need to be like this. In this case, void means it's not returning anything. We're not asking for anything. So in this case, I don't need to say return something. It'll just do this and then not do anything after that. It won't give us anything back. Does that make sense?
I shouldn't have asked what void was.
I thought I actually explained that okay.
Okay, hang on. Do it again while it's all like put in there.
Okay, one more time. So in this case, we're asking the machine to give us its name, right? So we say, give us your name to it. And then what should it do after that? It should give us its name back. So in this case, it's going to return its name back to us. Now, the reason why the string is here is because just because the way C# is written, we need to specify what kind of data it's giving us back. So what kind of data is name?
The name, when it says return name, the name of the machine is name?
Yes, but what kind of data is stored in name?
Text.
Yeah, text.
Wait, 'cause it's string.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the string just means that whatever value stored inside is text. So I
Yeah.
could also make another one that says public int give us your current, and then it would need to return amperage, right? And the reason why I put int here is because we're returning amperage, and amperage is an integer type, so the data it returns is an integer.
Okay. So I think I'm getting like when you say return amperage, you're just telling it to pull data from that line, but we don't actually have like any data for amperage, right?
Well, yeah, we don't have it right now.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah. I think I don't know. I think I got it now. So like return name. The name of the machine isn't a name because we haven't specified what the name of the machine is. Like
yeah,
if you had return name and then somewhere else you had it specified what the name of the machine is, it would pull that name and then tell you when you run it through.
yeah. So it'll just, right now, it'll give us whatever's currently in name.
And so the way you would put the name is would you go up to public string and then put the name of the machine in there?
Yeah, you could do that. You could say name equals Bob.
Okay.
Initially, if you really, really wanted to.
It
Alternatively,
just kind of helps to understand the whole thing, I guess, like each level of it.
yeah.
With like putting a value in there, and then it kind of just all makes sense when you look at it. To me.
And I could also just say public int give us a 5 and just have it. Yeah. Just to further emphasize the point. So and the reason why we avoid here is because this isn't returning anything, so it's just a way to tell C# that this function isn't returning anything. We don't need anything back.
Okay. I got you.
It's not very intuitive, but that's just what it means.
Yeah, I think I got it now.
Cool.
I'm at least 90% understanding.
Cool.
I hope.
Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens when we move on to the next step, shall we? So
It gets worse.
let's go ahead and do what we were doing with invoices then. Let's create a new machine. So let's make a machine, and then let's call it my machine equals new machine. And boom, we've got a new machine. It's called my machine. Let's give it a name, shall we?
Yeah. Wait, so you named your machine my machine, but then you just said you're gonna give your machine a name?
You're right. So I created a new variable called my machine, and my machine is a machine. So think about it like and now it's probably really confusing for me to call it name, but to call this name here, but like I could just say this is maybe machine 1 equals new machine, and machine 1 is just a variable in which we're storing all the data about this machine into.
Okay.
It's not actually the name of the machine, it's just the name of what we're storing all the data into.
Yeah, you're like a folder.
Yeah.
Okay, proceed.
Cool. So how would we set the name of the machine to Bob?
Would you want to do the public thing?
No.
Okay, well, would it just be, well, see, it's a text, so would it be string?
No. Here, let me just show you then.
I
Machine 1 dot name equals Bob. Look familiar? So it's essentially the same thing we're doing up here, except with machines. So we set the name of machine 1 to Bob.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Let's set the age of machine 1 to some age, shall we? How do I do that?
Machine 1.age. So, see, my thing was that I was kind of confused as to why you didn't do, because it's kind of like the same thing we did down there, except we did like public string name, public int age. You know what I mean?
So what is this here? In this part here, I'm declaring a variable called age. That's a property of the machine of a machine, and it's an integer
is
data
this-
type. So
is this like all the same thing? Just up here, you're defining what that actually means.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. I thought this was like a whole. It's kind of like the same machine, right?
Yeah,
In a way,
sort of.
you're just giving, like, I guess, extra data to what the name of it is, what the age of it actually is.
Yes,
That way, when you pull it down below, it'll actually return what the machine name is, which is Bob.
exactly.
Okay, now I'm following.
So let's say I want to use the give us your name function here. So in this case, let's just say I want to console dot write line, and then say the name of the machine is, and then I would put here machine 1 dot give us your name. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling machine 1 to give us its name, and then it'll take whatever name it is in here, and then it'll be right here, and then it'll put it into this part of the string. Oh yeah, we're still going.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So okay, so does this make sense here? Sort of.
It does, but when I actually look at it, it kind of doesn't. So, hang on. Can you kind of get that part and then the other part that it's pulling it from into the same like view?
Sure.
That makes sense. Unless you just zoom out some or something.
Oh no, you can see it right here.
Okay, so public. Can you zoom out one thing?
Sure.
And then go up a little bit.
So essentially, what we're doing here is we are so we ask machine 1 to give us your name, right?
Yeah.
And then we and then we go down here and we see that okay, so when we ask the machine 1 to give us its name, it's gonna call this function. And what is this function gonna do? It's gonna ask the machine to return its name. So it gives us her name back, and then essentially it's gonna put the name, and essentially since
for some reason I kind of like forgot the return thing below it existed, and that's where the confusion, like where it was pulling it off from. I'm good now.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
so, yeah.
So let's just run this to make sure it works then. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Just don't ask me to actually do it.
Well, you gotta learn how to do it. Otherwise, how are you gonna
Yeah,
code?
I know. Kind of feel like I need a task to do, because if you don't use the information you get, you kind of just lose it. You know what I mean?
Hey, you
But I
know,
can't really think of any type of task that would involve something like that, really.
how about this? So there's a function in Visual Studio that allows us to collaborate on the same session, but you need to
Yeah.
use a Microsoft account. So do you want to like make a Microsoft account and we can just like collaborate on the same file at the same time?
I should have one. I mean,
Okay, let me
I
just
gotta
sign
think.
into one myself then.
Now, when I tried to sign in on Visual Studio, it came up saying that it couldn't do it at this time or something.
That's not good. Maybe try it again and see if it gives you the same error. Also, it might be because you haven't verified your account via your email.
I'm pretty sure it did. I think it made me verify it just when I don't. Well, I don't know. Where kind of confused where I go to sign in at.
It should be in the upper right hand corner, right about here.
Oh. Yeah, I don't have a thing right there.
Yeah.
Like you got your little count thing where the minimize bar is, but I don't have that.
Here, let me.
There's like another screen I need to go to.
Maybe just try sign in. No, that won't work. Oh, goodness, how do I do this? Here, can you do you want to share your screen really quick just so I can see what you're doing? So I don't know unless you have a different version than me. Maybe it's because my thing's too big. Yours is a little bit smaller. Nope, looks like it's still good. Your screen does look like mine though, just different up here, right?
Yeah. I think that's it.
Cool. Okay, let's see. Watch stream. Let's see what's in your upper right hand corner. Still waiting on it. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, I still hear you. Says I just got disconnected. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Oh wait. Is it not sharing mine now?
Doesn't look like it.
I think it's because it started. Oh gosh, the button at.
Did it just sign you out for some reason?
No, I had to. Is it doing it?
You know what? Don't even bother sharing the screen. Just like take a screenshot and just DM it to me.
There. Okay, now look at it. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
okay.
Where is it?
Can you not?
Let's try. Yeah. It's right in your upper hand right corner. It's called sign in.
It's because I had it. When I had it like lowered a certain way, and it was not showing that. My full, because I had one half of Visual Studio. Like, oh my goodness, I can't even talk. I had Visual Studio on one side and your stream on the other, and it minimized it in a way to where I couldn't see the sign-in button because everything was so minimized. But it's only one moment. I kind of feel like it's going to give me the same thing it did last time.
Okay. Here, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab some water.
Alrighty.
Okay. Let me plug
Yeah,
in
it
my
says
headphones.
the online service is not
Hopefully it
available. Please
worked.
try again
Fingers
later.
crossed. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Did you hear what I said?
I did not see your.
It said the online service is not available. Please try again later.
Are you kidding me? That sucks.
Yeah.
Grr. Do you? Ha ha ha. Give me a second. I'm thinking.
Alrighty.
I'm honestly just tempted to pop open the Space Engineer server and have you code in the inverse language. Because it's basically C# anyways. Could literally just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, could you try signing in again? Let me see if I can find a solution to your problem.
Alright. Kinda don't feel like it's the actual service. It's just kind of something on my end.
Yeah, I just want to see the error, just so I can try to help you, because
You're still watching my screen, right?
I am watching your screen.
Okay.
Looks like it's taking a little while.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if it has to do with like my signal being 2 bars down on my Wi-Fi or not.
I feel like it shouldn't be that though, because I mean you're literally
I wouldn't either. Yeah.
able to
But,
stream your thing. Here, can you press sign again? Or
Yeah.
wait, is there a window popped up? Because I don't see any window in front of it.
It might be because when I click streaming, I clicked like the Visual Studio Coding thing.
Oh.
Let me do. Hang on. Oh, it'd probably be easier if I just did control.
Got it. What online service is not
Okay.
available?
Yeah.
Let's see. Visual Studio 2019. Online service not available. Let's see, what does it say? What? Okay, it says something about Internet Explorer. Let's see what it says over here. No solutions. Huh. The fix was to simply reinstall the operating system.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Boy. Okay. Grr. Ah. Ah.
So,
Well. Okay.
well.
Here. Let's go online a little bit then. What's it called? Code on. Remember, there was an online code editor.
There was a thing where I could download like a game where you try and make a game that might could work as like being able to put some of the stuff you taught me to use.
Yeah, but
I just feel like unless I'm like really doing it myself, trying to figure something out with it, it's not gonna stick as well.
that
You know what I mean?
is very much true.
Otherwise, the next day when you ask me how do I do this and do that, I'm only gonna remember like a certain amount of it. Like I can remember the simple stuff like INT name equals such. But when it comes to more complicated stuff, unless I'm like actively using it, I won't really remember it, the next day very well. I feel like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I completely understand. Let's see. Just like the problem about the console system is that it's kind of hard to get input, so it's more just like playing around with the overall, just like, okay, this is a class, we can play around with the class. It just,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of a way to do this. I mean, maybe it might just be better to just go straight into torch development. Oh, you know what? F it. We're going straight into SE development, just so you can get some visual feedback. Is that okay with you? Do you
yeah.
have SE on your computer right now?
Space engineers, yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and go over some quick things in SE then. So, goodness, what do I need? Let's just go
You don't
ahead.
need me to share screens anymore, right?
Oh, you do not need to.
Okay.
I'm gonna start up a server really quick. Hopefully this doesn't kill me. Let me